Hi. Okay, so what sparked this very interesting video topic for today is I was watching this movie called After Death with my family the other night. By the way, if you haven't seen that movie, you should definitely watch it because it is insane. But it sparked this idea for me because I was thinking about the inevitable for all of us, something that we all have in common here on this earth. Whether we like it or not, we will all take our last breath. And so many people have different beliefs behind what will happen after that last breath. Will it be darkness? Will it be black? Are we going to heaven if we're a good person? Are we going to hell if we're a bad person? And there's people that have dedicated their lives to proclaiming that there is nothing after this life here on this earth. And I thought it would be really interesting to talk about today their last breath and what they had said on their deathbed before taking that last breath. Yeah, I thought it'd be a really interesting video topic for today. So with that being said, let's dive in. Number 1 is Caesar Borgia. He was an Italian nobleman, which means that he was of the highest social class. Caesar was an atheist and focused on building his life here on earth. Yet his last words, "While I lived, I provided for everything but death. Now I must die, and I am unprepared to die." Number 2 is Sir Thomas Scott, an atheist who was a Chancellor of England. Being taken suddenly ill and finding himself dying, he cried out to the Roman priests who sought to comfort him, and he said, "Until this moment, I thought there was neither a God nor a hell. Now I know, and I feel that there are both, and I am doomed to perdition by the just judgment of the Almighty." Number 3, this name might sound familiar, which is Voltaire.
And you know what? Voltaire, hair. I would personally like to learn about Voltaire.
Voltaire was a French writer, philosopher, and historian. He was famous for his wit and his criticism of Christianity. He believed that Christianity was corrupt. Yet the famous anti-Christian atheist on his deathbed said, "I have swallowed nothing but smoke. I have intoxicated myself with the incense that turned my head. I am abandoned by God and man." And then he said this to his physician, "I will give you half of what I am worth if you will give me 6 months of life." And when he was told that this was not possible, he replied with this, "Then I shall die and go to hell." His nurse said, "For all the money in Europe, I wouldn't want to see another unbeliever die." All night long, he cried for forgiveness. Number 4 is probably one of the craziest ones to me, and that is David Hume. David Hume was an atheist philosopher who was famous for his skepticism of religion. On his deathbed, he cries out, "I am in flames." It is said that his desperation was a horrible scene. Number 5 is Sir Francis Newport. He was head of an English atheist club, and on his deathbed to those who surrounded him, he said, "You need not tell me that there is no God, for I know there is one, and that I am in his presence. You need not tell me there is no hell. I feel myself already slipping. Wretches, cease your idle talk about there being hope for me. I know I am lost forever. Oh, that fire. Oh, the insufferable pangs of hell. Oh, that I could lie for 1,000 years upon the fire that is never quenched, to purchase the favor of God and be united to him again. But it is a fruitless wish. Millions and millions of years will bring me no nearer the end of my torments than one poor hour. Oh, eternity, eternity, forever and forever. Oh, the insufferable pangs of hell." And that's not even the craziest one. Number 6 is Charles IX, the French king. Urged by his mother, he gave the order for the massacre of the French Huguenots, in which 15,000 souls were slaughtered in Paris alone, and 100,000 in other sections of France, for no other reason other than the fact that they loved Jesus. The guilty king suffered miserably for years after that event. He finally died, bathed in blood, and to his physicians in his last hours, he said, "Asleep or awake, I see the mangled forms of the Huguenots passing before me. They drip with blood. They point at their open wounds. That I had spared at least the little infants at the bosom. What blood! I know not where I am. How will all this end? What shall I do? I am am lost forever. I know it. Oh, I have done wrong. Number 7 is the author of the Satanic Bible, Anton LaVey, the high priest of the religion dedicated to the worship of Satan. One of his famous quotes was, "There is a beast in man that needs to be exorcised, not exorcised." Yet his dying words, oh my, what have I done? There is something very wrong. There is something very wrong. This might be the scariest video on my channel. I apologize. Before their last breath, these 7 atheists had one thing in common, that there was no God. Yet on their deathbeds, these 7 atheists had a new thing in common, an understanding that there is surely something after we die. Weirdly for me, I have thought about death since I was 7 years old. I had grabbed a pillow and I went to slide on my kitchen floor and the pillow stopped. I kept going and I slammed my face on the tile floor. There was blood everywhere and I cracked my front tooth that I now have a filling to fix that front tooth that is not mine. And I remember sitting on my kitchen counter and I asked my dad for the first time ever if I was going to die, and I didn't know what was going to happen after I died, which gave me even more fear about it, and I thought about it for most of my life. It wasn't until I hit 23 years old that I had to know, and the reason why it even took me so long to look in to see if there is a God is because I always deemed myself to be a good person by a measure that I had created myself on what a good person is. And I figured that if there is a God, which I always kind of believe that there is one, I figured I was going to heaven because I'm a good person, and what kind of God would send me to hell if I had been such a good person my whole life? But then I made a lot of mistakes and I no longer measured up to this version that I figured was a good person, and I had a lot of shame and I had a lot of regret, and I needed to know, where am I going when I take my inevitable last breath? It wasn't until I found out about Jesus and the supernatural peace that comes over those who put their faith in him, the indescribable rest that comes upon you when you give all your cares and worries to him, the unimaginable joy that you experience when you find out the good news, the fear of the grave that is now inexistent because you know exactly where you are going. You are given the definite, beyond doubt, undeniable certainty of what will come when you close your eyes for the last time. And I found out that when you call out to Jesus, everything will change. Let's compare the last words from these atheists to those that have put their faith in God. The Apostle Paul, "O death, where is thy sting?" King David, "Though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil." Lastly, Jesus said, "I am the resurrection and the life. He that believes in me, though he were dead, yet shall he live." I pray that whoever's watching this right now, if you don't know who Jesus is, he is exactly who he proclaimed to be, the only way. Through him, you will have eternal life and will no longer fear the grave. If you believe that, say this with me out loud. Jesus, I want to know you. I believe that you took the cross for my sins, and I want to accept the gift of forgiveness that has been freely given to me. Please forgive me of my sins and help me to walk with you. Help me turn from my ways that lead to sin and death, and help me walk in the way that leads to life.
People say